you will find when you talk about subjects like that, these new way thinking people, it's so easy for them to perceive something that is negative. That's negative. The world's going into darkness. That's negative speech. No, that's reality. Okay? You've got positive, you've got negative, and you have reality. Now, once you deal with reality, the positive and the negative, it's futile. This is what I was telling the woman tonight. And it's always the women that are always talking this positive energy and all of that nonsense. And as long as this new wave doctrine is floating around, you're never going to get anything done with people like that. So I said my goodbyes tonight because I don't have time for that, you know. And as I was walking to my car, you know, a brother who Brother Walter had introduced me to had told me, he said, man, you know, I understand how you feel, but you know how these women are. You know, I just told him, I said, you know what, that's why I would rather not work with women, because women don't do nothing but disrupt things, because they're emotional creatures and they're not logical creatures, and therefore they don't see things as they are. They try to see things as they wish it would be, but it is not so. And unless you deal with what is so, you're not going to be able to know how to resolve things. You're never going to understand what needs to be done unless you see things realistically. Trying to think positive and look at things positive, that implies a person who is trying to control things, even a person that's trying to manifest things upon their own, and yet still they say that they have faith in God. I don't go into anything thinking positive or negative, because as long as you're taking something into something that is brand new, you're not seeing the problem for what it is. And the resolve is going to come from the problem. You can't bring the resolve to the problem, especially if the problem is new. You know, this is why Yeshua said, go and observe all things. When you're observing things, like say if you're standing there and you're observing this creature, you might as well say, or thing, whatever the case may be, we're talking about observation. If you're observing something, the moment you start comparing, well, you know what, this reminds me of this reminds me of that. As long as you're comparing something that you're observing that is new, you're never going to find out what it is, because you're in this comparison thing, and you're seeing something brand new through the screen of comparison, which is knowledge of the past. You have to get rid of all of that. The only way that you're going to be able to recognize what something actually is, you have to observe it. You can't take anything with you. You can't try to figure it out or anything like that, or try to compare it to anything. You have to understand that it's going to reveal itself to you and tell you what it is. Life is sacred. So stop going into life with these thoughts in your head. I'm going to think positive. I'm going to think positive. Life is going to be what it is. I don't care how positive your thinking process is. Your thinking process is not going to govern anything, and it's damn sure not going to change anything. In reference to the beginning, the video before this one, I was talking about the New Wave community and their method of thinking. And a lot of them, well, I can't say a lot. but a few had asked me, how is it that you go into anything without thinking positive or negative? And that right there told me how very complex the people are. See, when Yeshua had said, observing all things, when you look at the word things, he used the word things. And things in this content means the unknown, what is sacred before you venture in to the circumstances. Things. That means unlimited observation, observing all things. So due to the fact that we're dealing with something sacred, unknown, you cannot venture into anything that is new and therefore unknown with your mind preconditions to either think positive or negative. Because due to the fact that it is of the unknown, your thinking process, either positive or negative, is a contradiction because you don't know what is before you. This is the reason why he used the word observing all things, the unknown, the sacred. This is why I was saying that what cultivates positive and what cultivates negative is based upon past experiences and therefore information that you have accumulated and you that has made a either negative impression on you or a positive impression on you. And with each one, you build up convictions that you take with you, that when you have these convictions on both of those, you might as well say dual components, and you go into something new, you're going to prejudge these things as positive or negative. I don't take anything with me when I'm going in to something that is new and sacred. The reason why I don't think positive or negative when the Creator is taking me into something that was sacred, but due to the fact that now I am venturing into it, is no longer sacred. However, the meaning of it is sacred because I am currently venturing into something and I'm in the learning process until it is revealed to me of what it is that I am experiencing. But if I have a preconditioned mind, and if I say, well, this is positive or this is negative, did it mean that I'm taking the past into the present, and therefore I am contaminating the present because I am trying to say, well, this is positive and this is negative. You're living in the past. And when you're living in the past, when you're going into the present, you betray the present. That is my point. So this is the reason why I say I don't take anything in something new with me, because if I take a screen in there with me and I'm looking at what is through the knowledge of the past, I'm not able to see what is because I'm still looking through the screen of the past, and therefore my past perceptions and my convictions and everything. And so this is why I say that the New Wave community live in the past. And they are no different than any other religious doctrine that condemns people as sinners or whatever the case may be, or evil or whatever. Oh, you're a low vibrational person. You need to bring your vibration up into a higher frequency. But you left the church, right? So that's no distinction than the Christian telling someone you have to be born again in the spirit. You have to be born again in the spirit. Now people may say, but you say that all the time. But not in their context. When you're dealing with the religion of Christianity and when you're dealing with the church, you have people who fall back on that same level of understanding, which is positive and negative, to determine if a person is indeed living in spirit or if they're still in the flesh. When no one can determine that, because you're not on this planet to please other human beings. You are on this planet to show yourself worthy to God and God alone. Not to the human being, not to your pastor, not to your church members. No one. A clear example, and I use this scenario a lot, but I'm going to use it here. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you look across the street and your best friend's home is on fire, and you go outside, I'm just going to throw a name out there. Like, say your best friend's name is John. John's house is on fire. You see John's parents outside. There's firemen out there and everything. You go up to John's parents and you say, "Where's John?" John's parents say, "We couldn't get to John. We had to leave immediately." So what you do is you say, "Well, I'm going to go in there after John and I will get him myself." Now there's a fireman standing next to you. He just so happens to hear what you had said. And if the fireman says, "You cannot go in that house while it's on fire because it is at least 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit in that house." So you say, "Well, I'm going to think positive. I'm going to go in that house and I'm going to get my friend John out of that house in spite of what you just told me." So you go in the house with your positive thinking. And what is going to be waiting for you is 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And no matter how positive you think, that temperature is not going to decrease. And guess what's going to happen to you? You are going to meet the same fate as your best friend. So what you're dealing with a people who have these images inside of their head based upon their desires. So they have desires that are preconditioned. And they think that if they utilize or if they execute this certain way of thinking, these things are going to manifest. So we're still thinking in terms of manifestation. So due to the fact that you have this image inside of your mind, and therefore expectations inside of your mind, based upon what you desire, you're living by way of unrealistic expectations. So as you go forward, you think you're going forward, but you're still rooted in the past. So you're going forward and you have this image in your head. And no matter how much you think, positive thinking, positive vibes only, positive thinking, positive vibes only. See, your mind is on that way of thinking instead of doing realistically what is necessary to get the results that you are going to perceive as positive results. But when you're working your way towards the resolve, as I said before, I don't think positive nor negative. I'm focusing on realistically what I have to do in order to accomplish success. But when you are dealing with people who have these images, this image in their mind, and therefore this expectation of manifestation, when reality presents itself, reality clashes with this image that they have based upon what they expect, and due to the fact that the reality doesn't reflect this image, this positive image that they had in their head, all of a sudden they perceive the results as negative. Oh, this is not what I expected. This is negative. So when you have people like that come to meetings with those type of expectations, they actually think that they're concerned about the direction that the world is going in. But at the same time, they're denying the direction that the world is going in by saying someone in there who is being realistic about the direction that the world is going in, and the world is going into a dark place, they perceive that as negative. That's negative. That's negative thinking. They fail to realize that the person who is speaking realistically, that the world is going into darkness, which is a negative, they want to attack the person who is thinking realistically as a negative human being. This is how off these people are. And they spend all this time trying to attack you, instead of asking you, why do you think the world is going into darkness? And it's all around you. That is when reasoning is supposed to take its course. Let's all put our heads together and reason together so that we will come to the same understanding. And from that understanding, we will be able to understand what we have to do to make matters better. But if there's people in there, male or female, that are saying, well, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative, you will never become successful with people who are thinking with that process, because all they want to do is attack the people who are realistically interested in doing whatever is necessary to make the society better. And the only way that you are going to be able to make the society together, you have to be realistic on where the society and what direction the society is going. All of your positive thinking is not going to work, is not going to make the world turn around. You can say, you just gotta think positive, you just gotta think positive, you gotta think positive. Your positive thinking is not going to have any magical, mystical, or majestical spell or effect on what is transpiring in the world. You are not in control of anything. This is what I keep trying to tell these people. I was going to use another word. You are not in control of anything simply because you think in a certain fashion. You're not in control. You want to get in control? You want to get on board? Do you really want to be a good helper? Then see things as they are. You have to see things as they are and not what you wish it to be. You're dealing with a bunch of images in your head. As soon as you hear something with this method of thinking and perceiving, then you start attacking people. And that's just gonna cause a bunch of conflict. Well, I think he's being negative. He's giving off negative energy. He needs to raise his vibration higher, to a higher frequency. Oh, you sound so smart. You sound so deep. You sound so deep. However, it is ineffective. It's just clever talk. As a matter of fact, you sound like you've been sitting up reading a goddamn Einstein book. Neither that or you've been going to too many Erykah Badu concerts, listening to her madness, listening to her nonsense, because she talks the same language. And before you know it, she's on stage with her daughter twerking. When you seen Erykah Badu on stage twerking with her daughter or twerking at all, how did you feel about that? Was that positive? Was she giving off positive energy? Your method of thinking based upon your desires means absolutely nothing. You have to see everything realistically. You have to say, look, the world's going into darkness. And when everyone agrees, without any of these preperceptions of trying to determine if what someone says is positive or negative, and everyone agrees that yes, the world is going into darkness. It is. The direction that it's going in is not good. So what are we going to do about it? See, what we are going to do about it, that cultivates after everyone agrees on that one fact. The world's going into darkness. And we all live in this same world and we all see and feel the same thing. So what are we going to do about it? Because we helped create this mess. Now, a lot of people, they say, well, I didn't help create the mess. This mess was created before I got here. Aren't you a part of humanity? Yes, I'm a part of humanity, but that was them. If it's them, it's you too. We were placed here upon the planet to make the world a better place. So what they did before, we did also, because we are a part of the same human family. What they didn't clean up, we're responsible. What mess that they made, we're responsible for cleaning it up. Anytime you are walking down, like say, a hallway, in a store or a school or wherever, and you see a wet spill, and you know the dangers of a wet spill, for you to say, this is going to hurt somebody, but I didn't do it, so I'm just going to walk around it, and I'm going about my business. With that attitude, you're also responsible for making that wet spill because you didn't do anything about it after you acknowledged it. You didn't do anything about it. So therefore, what I'm saying is, the mess that those before us made is taking us into a dark place. And that is the reality of what is. And instead of condemning the world as negative, that's negative energy. I don't want to deal with that. You're the same person that see that wet spill and you say, I didn't do it, and you just walk around it. And the next thing you know, someone gets hurt. You're no different than those who created this mess. When you're walking around with that foolish mentality. I didn't do it, so I don't care. Okay, well, now you did it too. How about that? Somebody who didn't make the mess physically is going to have to clean the mess up before others get hurt. That's the point. When I was in Georgia, I was dealing with a woman, Salam Yuma. She was one of these energy people. And she created the most humiliating and the most disrespectful time of my life. But you energy people, you're so righteous. You're so on point. You're so enlightened. I say you're so full of shit. That's what I say you are. Because it really doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. If you do not know how to treat other human beings, what you say means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And she wasn't the only one. It was another woman under the name Kathy. I was with her. She was talking the same thing, the energy. She was burning the sage and all of that. Oh, I'm burning the sage because this gets rid of all of the evil spirits and the negative energy in the house. The only thing you're doing is burning the plant. That's all you're doing. Because by you assuming that someone in your atmosphere is negative or anything in your atmosphere is negative, and so you feel as though you have to burn the sage instead of dealing with the people or the thing that is in your environment that you perceive as negative, you want to burn some sage. This gets rid of the negative energy in your home. That's what you believe? It's nonsense. The only thing you're doing is burning a plant. That's it. That's it. You're not resolving anything. And this goes in tandem with this type of thinking. You want to stop all the negative so-called energy in your home, then address what is going on in your home that you perceive as negative. Address it. And when you address it, you're being realistically interested in resolving what you perceive as negative in your home. So when it all boils down to it, reality is what you are going to have to deal with. Unless you deal with reality and accept reality for what it is, you're going to always be lost. And you with your negative energies and your high vibrations and low vibration and all of that nonsense, you're not going to get anywhere. Because to you, everything is negative. Positive vibes only. Weak. You're weak. You don't want any challenges, and therefore you don't want any growth. You don't want any growth. Oh, get away from me. That's negative. I want positive vibes only. You're not living in the real world. You're living in some world, some philosopher created for you to conform to. And this is one of the reasons why you look around and with all of this negative energy and doctrine and all of that, you haven't produced anything. You haven't gotten anywhere. You haven't gotten anywhere. And look at the way you treat people. Someone don't agree with you, negative energy. Someone who you're talking to that you claim that you're close to, they're going through something, because this transpired with me in Georgia. Someone on the other end of the phone who claims that they're in your corner, and simply because you're going through a lot and there's no one else out there for you to talk to, you feel as though you can vent to them. And all of a sudden you don't hear from them because they're one of these negative energy persons, and they feel overwhelmed. They feel overwhelmed because they have this mindset, this whole mindset, new wave mindset. Unless you deal with reality as it is and accept reality for what it is, you're never going to get any resolution. So your thinking process has no power to change anything. You can think any way you want, but until you deal with reality for what it is, you're never going to go to the next phase in your growth. So get rid of all of the doctrines and the mindsets and all of that. Get rid of that, because you're not dealing with reality. You're actually going against reality, and you're actually going, and therefore you advocate the darkness that the world is going in, because you're so caught up with these images in your mind of how, well, I know the world's going into darkness, but that's negative, so I don't want to deal with it. But then you are participating in the darkness that I'm referring to. You're helping the world going into darkness by not accepting that reality that we all have to deal with each day of our lives. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you look across the street and your best friend's home is on fire, and you go outside. I'm just going to throw a name out there. Like, say your best friend's name is John. John's house is on fire. You see John's parents outside. There's firemen out there and everything. You go up to John's parents and you say, "Where's John?" John's parents say, "We couldn't get to John. We had to leave immediately." So, what you do is you say, "Well, I'm going to go in there after John, and I will get him myself." Now, there's a fireman standing next to you. He just so happens to hear what you had said. And if the fireman says, "You cannot go in that house while it's on fire because it is at least 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit in that house." So you say, "Well, I'm going to think positive. I'm going to go in that house and I'm going to get my friend John out of that house in spite of what you just told me." So you go in the house with your positive thinking. And what is going to be waiting for you is 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And no matter how positive you think, that temperature is not going to decrease. And guess what's going to happen to you? You are going to meet the same fate as your best friend. They actually think that they're concerned about the direction that the world is going in. But at the same time, they're denying the direction that the world is going in by saying someone in there who is being realistic about the direction that the world is going in, and the world is going into a dark place, they perceive that as negative. That's negative. That's negative thinking. They fail to realize that the person who is speaking realistically, that the world is going into darkness, which is a negative, they want to attack the person who was thinking realistically as a negative human being. And they spend all this time trying to attack you, instead of asking you, why do you think the world is going into darkness? And it's all around you. That is when reasoning is supposed to take its course. Let's all put our heads together and reason together so that we will come to the same understanding. And from that understanding, we will be able to understand what we have to do to make matters better. But if there's people in there, male or female, that is saying, "Well, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative," you will never become successful with people who are thinking with that process, because all they want to do is attack the people who are realistically interested in doing whatever is necessary to make the society better. And the only way that you are going to be able to make the society together, you have to be realistic on where the society and what direction the society is going. All of your positive thinking is not going to work. It's not going to make the world turn around. You can say, "You just gotta think positive, you just gotta think positive, you gotta think positive." Your positive thinking is not going to have any magical, mystical, or majestical spell or effect on what is transpiring in the world. You are not in control of anything. Your method of thinking based upon your desires means absolutely nothing. You have to see everything realistically. You have to say, look, the world's going into darkness. And when everyone agrees, without any of these preperceptions of trying to determine if what someone says is positive or negative, and everyone agrees that yes, the world is going into darkness. It is. The direction that it's going in is not good. So what are we going to do about it? See, what we are going to do about it, that cultivates after everyone agrees on that one fact. The world's going into darkness. And we all live in this same world, and we all see and feel the same thing. So what are we going to do about it? Because we helped create this mess. Now, a lot of people, they say, well, I didn't help create the mess. This mess was created before I got here. Aren't you a part of humanity? Yes, I'm a part of humanity, but that was them. If it's them, it's you too. We were placed here upon the planet to make the world a better place. So what they did before, we did also, because we are a part of the same human family. What they didn't clean up, we're responsible. What mess that they made, we're responsible for cleaning it up. As I suspected, I was invited back to the meeting that I spoke of in my previous video, referring to attending the meeting of when we were discussing the world going into darkness. And the woman in there started talking the negative, the positive and negative energy doctrine. Brother Walter has sent her the link to my previous video, and she watched it. And so she told Brother Walter, are you able to invite him back? And he said, yes, I'm pretty sure he'll come if I asked him to come. Because when you're brothers with someone, he may not be a biological brother, but spiritually, if your brother asks you or invite you to a meeting, it's only proper that you go. Even if you have some inside conflicts like I had tonight before I ventured down there. And he spoke on that. He said, Brother David, I know how you feel and how you felt about the previous meeting, but he had explained to me that I won't mention her name, but the sister who had attacked you, I sent her a link to your previous video, and she said that she understands exactly what you were talking about, and it's just some things that she wants to ask you about so that she can get a clearer understanding. So would you mind coming? And so I told him, yes, I'll come. Now, whenever I'm in a situation like that, or anyone who was in a circumstances like that, humility is key. I've seen so many brothers who are boastful and their egos swell because they are going to be the person that people are going to be asking the questions. And so they stand there, they walk in like they're Mr. Know-it-all, because people are going to be asking them questions about some information that they previously distributed. So humility is key. Number one, humility is necessary. So I didn't go down there with that in mind, like I'm the guy who's going to be explaining things to people. I didn't go down there with in mind of being a teacher or even an explainer. I'm just a human being who has a desire to be understood, just like any other human being. Just like her, she has the desire to understand me, and I have the interest of being understood. So with that, humility is key. So when you do go down there, you walk in humility and not boasting like you're a teacher and all of the things that I mentioned. So once I got down there, she came up and she shook my hand and she said, I apologize if I offended you. She said, because I have a tendency of becoming very aggressive when I don't understand something. And I just told her, if anyone understands aggression, I do, because I understand anger. And she said, no, I wasn't angry. I said, well, anger is an ingredient of where it shapes you into a state of aggression because of lack of understanding. That's the reason why. I'm not saying you're an angry person. I'm just saying that anger was the root of you, is usually the root of a person's aggression. And so she understood that. So when we were all sitting there, she was asking me, I noticed that you brought up when Yeshua had told the disciples to observe all things. She said, I understood what you were talking about the sacredness, about looking at something as a thing, which implies the unknown and something that is sacred. She said, but what I didn't catch was the whole principle of and function and method of observation. And I told her, as I mentioned in this video, to where when you go back to the book of Genesis, of how the Creator had brought all of the creatures of the earth before Adam, if you notice, God never told Adam the names of any of the creatures. He just brought these creatures in front of Adam. And Adam observed the creatures, and he observed the function of the creatures and their nature of it. And so when he observed these creatures, he didn't have in his mind, well, what is this? This looks like a this looks like a that, because he didn't have the knowledge of anything upon the earth to be able to compare one creature to the other. He stood there and he observed the nature and the function of the creatures. And that way, with his gift of wisdom and intelligence from the Creator, he was able to determine what these creatures were there for, based upon their functions and their purpose and everything. He was able to name these creatures what they were and what they are by way of observation. So when you are observing something, this mind has to be silent, because what you're observing is something new, something new. You know how people say, oh, I know what this thing is. That's a contradiction, because if it's a thing, you don't know what anything is, and is in this context implies that you know what this thing, which is sacred, is. And so that's the contradiction. You don't know what anything is. Oh, I know what this thing is. Is implies knowledge of the past, and therefore you're in a state of comparison. No. Adam didn't have any information on what anything was. And so he had to stand there and observe it and allow the gift that the Creator gave him to be able to name this thing what it is and what it was by the way it functions and the nature of it. So when you go into anything that is new, which is an everyday experience, you have to observe it and find out what the problem is, and don't try to compare one problem to the other, because you're looking at this problem through the screen of another problem that you experience, and that gets in the way. You have to observe something which is brand new, analyze it, and allow the problem to reveal itself. It's like a mechanic. You take your car into the shop, and the mechanic said, he says, turn your engine on. And he stands there and he listens to the engine. And this mechanic can be able to determine what the problem is by way of observing the engine sounds and all of these things. Now, people may say, well, it's only because he has the knowledge of the engine and he has knowledge of being a mechanic, but he still doesn't know exactly what's causing the problem of your car, which is the sacred. And so for him to listen to the engine, and the engine gives a certain sound or a certain function, he's able to determine what could be the problem with your vehicle. This is how we have to observe each other as human beings. That's why I was telling a brother who I used to work with, you can't condemn these people until you get to know them. You have to get to know them. You have to talk to them. You have to communicate with them. You can't say, well, I'm going to bring them the word. You already think you understand what the problem is, so you've already condemned this person. And so I'm going to preach the word of God to these people. You need to get to know the people. You need to get to know them, talk to them, ask them questions, get to know them, find out how they got in that condition. And as you're listening, and if you're listening to them, the Creator is going to give you insight on what information to give these people in terms of counseling. But if you can't get past these people who are alcoholics, drug addicts, prostitutes, if you can't get past the wrongdoing of what they're doing, and if you condemn these people as negative, you will never be able to help them resolve their problems. You're going to always condemn the, oh, that's negative. Oh, he drinks, so that's negative. Oh, she's selling her body. She's a negative human being. Oh, he sells drugs. He used drugs. You quickly condemn people as negative. What they're doing is negative, but you don't condemn the human being along with whatever vice has them captive. That is negative. Simply because of what they're doing is perceived by you as negative, and it is because it's destroying them. The problem with the New Wave community is they condemn the human being along with what has them captive. That's just one of the reasons why I detest anyone with that state of mind. Oh, he or she's a negative human being. Positive vibes only. Positive vibes only. As I said before, you don't want a challenge. You don't want to be challenged. You just want positive things, things that you agree with. Things that, oh yeah, I agree with that, so I'll, well, if you agree with it, then there's no room for learning. You can't learn anything that you've already come to agree with, something familiar based upon the knowledge of the past. Everything is energy, everything is energy, but look at the way that you treat people. Look at the way that you put people down. Look at the way that you treat people. If everything is energy, are you looking at the way you treat people? When it all boils down to it, whether you read a Bible, whether you read a Quran, a Talmud, whatever religious book or spiritual book, which is a contradiction. Because when you're spiritual, you have been risen to a higher level of being which surpasses mere knowledge. But that's a whole nother video. But the whole thing is, in spite of what you say, you believe, and what you come to know through these books, through these religions, through these philosophies, how you treat other human beings reveals if those religions, if those philosophies, if those doctrines have any merit. If you mistreat people, if you condemn people, everything that you claim you know means nothing. You see the way that the church condemned Mary Magdalene. They told Yeshua, you know what type of woman this is. And before he said that, he said, get out of here, woman. This is not a place for you. It took his presence to be there for Mary Magdalene to get exactly what she needed in order to transform her life. A man who was a spiritual man, not a religious man. See, religious doctrine condemns. New Wave doctrine condemns. And if you look at the laws of Moses, you would think that when Moses went up to Mount Sinai and he was supposedly got the law straight from God itself, it said, thou shalt not kill. Moses comes down. He saw the people who were victimized by the culture of Europe. They just got out of Europe. What do you expect? I mean, they just got out of Egypt. What do you expect? Same thing. They're out there in the desert. They're hungry. They're frustrated. They're afraid. They're scared. You've been up in the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. No one knows where you are. They feel abandoned. They're afraid. So they revert back to all of the cultures and the traditions that they picked up while they were so-called suffering in Egypt. And so you bring down this law. And one of them says, thou shalt not kill. So he comes down. He said, all who are going to follow me, come to me. Everybody came up there. Everybody except 3,000 people. 3,000 people. the 3,000 people that didn't come with Moses. Moses told the Levite priests to slaughter them, to kill them. And some of the people who the Levite priest killed, some of those were their own family members. If you're ever in London, England, and if you're ever in India, the Dharmasala, India, read up. Or if you're able to get this information here, research it. Some of those people were ordered to kill their own family members. Now here I am, I'm observing this. Now you just got this law from God that says thou shalt not kill, but then you come down here and you get displeased and therefore frustrated and therefore angry, and you get in this mentality of condemning these people as negative. And so you tell the Levite priests to go against what God told you not to do, which is to kill. 3,000 people lost their lives when Moses ordered the Levite priests to kill them. As time went on, some of the Levite priests were grieved because of what they were told to do after God told Moses, thou shalt not kill. So what did Moses do? He sent those Levite priests who were suffering, as you might as well say, stress syndrome, 7 miles outside of camp, away from everyone, so they'll be able to be counseled and deal with what they did. Well, look, if what you told them to do was so correct, then why are these men grieved? To the degree they had to leave where they were. See, there's a lot of things going on in the world. And as I said, the world is going into darkness. And as I had explained to her, if you don't agree that the world is going into darkness, sister, I have a question for you. She said, what is that? Why are you here? Why is any of us here? What do we have to talk about? If everything is so good and everything is so positive, why are we here? Because I don't hang out. I don't hang out and talk about things that are, hey, well, this, and this and that, oh, that's going fine. Okay, this is not a place for me to be. If everything is good. But I was put on this earth to help make the world a better place. And I suffered tremendous pain because of that. And so unless you suffer evil, humiliation, hurt, and all of those things, you're not going to know what's going on in the world, because you haven't become a victim of anything. And that goes back to all of these new wave people who say positive vibes only. See, those people, they don't want any challenges. And therefore, as I said before, they don't want any growth. They don't want any growth. I just want positive vibes. I don't want to go through nothing when, I don't want to go through nothing. I just want everything to be smooth. That's not what life is all about. Life is about challenges. Of course, you have a period of rest so that you can take in everything that you've learned. And you have a period of where you're moving forward, even after you've been given some information, and you're going to come upon some experiences that's going to give you clarity based upon the information that you had accumulated. And the only way that clarity comes, you have to experience hardships so that you will know why Yeshua said certain things. But people with this new wave doctrine, they don't want any challenges. They just want positive vibes only, positive energy only, positive, positive, positive. And they reject negative. No negative energy, no negative. When the dual component to negative is positive. But you just want the positive and the positive only. And you're not going to get the positive only because the negative is the dual component of the of the positive. And because of the negative, you don't know what the positive is. So they're related to one another, and they give each other identity and purpose. So what do? You move forward and you walk in humility and love. And you make the world a better place to live. And it's like Yeshua has said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Now, if the kingdom of heaven that is within you, if that place, and it is order, resolution, resolve. And if you allow that to flourish, you're able to move forward without the perception of seeing things as positive or negative. You're just moving forward, and you are allowing the Spirit of God to guide you by way of your intelligence and your wisdom, and everything will be made sense and therefore clarity, and you'll be able to move forward. And you won't be held back by doctrines that's saying, oh, that's negative. I don't want anything to do with that because that's negative energy. And then you look around and you wonder why the world is going to hell. It's because of that state of mind. As I mentioned before, I'm not the type of man where when you're in this work, I'm not the type of servant that sits around and celebrate that things are going good. It's good, that you're able to celebrate. But those are small things, to my understanding. Through my life experience, I've seen a whole lot of things. I've seen a whole lot of bad things, I've seen a whole lot of terrible things, and I've seen a whole lot of good things come out of those terrible things that transpire. And therefore, I understand that the reason why things become better is because those problems were never negated. I've seen a whole lot of people when I was coming up in Chicago, instead of dealing with their problems, they ran from their problems by way of drinking, smoking, alcohol, disco clubs, there was even songs, that were created. Wave your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care and all of that. Let's just go to the club and dance all night, run away from our problems. To me, that has always sounded very irresponsible. Because life is forward motion. And when the Creator puts a challenge before you, you're supposed to move forward. You're not supposed to run from it or put it on pause. I'll deal with that tomorrow. But right now, I'm gonna go over here in this corner, I'm gonna smoke this joint. I'm gonna go to the club and I'm gonna dance all night. And I'm gonna shake my rear end. I'm gonna do the hustle all night. You know, I'm gonna sit at a bar and drink all night and lie to everybody, listen to everyone else's lies. I've seen all of those things as I was coming up. And as I looked around, no one was organizing on how to make the world a better place. Now here it is, as I mentioned before. You had Medgar Evers. He got shot in his back, right in front of his home, in front of his family. Then after Brother Medgar Evers, Brother Malcolm gets assassinated right in front of his family at the Audubon Ballroom, February the 21st, 1965. After Brother Malcolm, Martin Luther King. I believe it was April 7, 1968. He gets shot and killed. After that, here comes the Black Panther Party. They got shut down. And instead of people continuing to move forward, to organize, people was dancing down the Soul Train line, wasting time, going to clubs, all of those things. Instead of continuing to organize, to move forward, after all of these people were assassinated, Medgar Evers was assassinated. Then you had a Malcolm X to pick up the torch to move it forward. After Malcolm, Brother Malcolm was assassinated, you had a Dr. King trying to move forward. And then after Dr. King gets assassinated, then here come the Black Panther Party. They tried to do their parts. After the Black Panther Party was dissolved, there's no one else. But there's the clubs, there's that Soul Train line, and everything stopped. Now here it is, 1974. I observed a serious moral shift into darkness. As I saw my mother and my uncles and all of them started experimenting with drugs and going to the clubs and everything. Not only them, but I saw a lot of people in my neighborhood started going in that direction. And until this day, their minds are messed up and you don't even know who you're talking to on the phone no more. Somebody's voice is totally foreign to you right now, and you got two older brothers that are still around you and look at you, listen to you. But I'll eventually get around to that. But here it is. Here we are this day. Hip hop generation was created by the elders. And these are the same people who created the atmosphere in which gave birth to the hip hop community. And yet still they say they hate hip hop. That sounds like Victor Frankenstein saying that he hates Frankenstein. Now the hip hop generation has filtered into all type of black culture, and you look at black culture today. It's a mess. It's a mess. And with all of these things going on, the community has no time for anything new wave, because it is so much things going on that are immoral in the community. You do not need to be a part of any doctrine that says that's negative. That's negative. Nope, that's negative energy. That's negative energy. And you wonder why the world is consistently going into darkness. because no one wants to deal with anything anymore. No one wants to move forward anymore. Now these two perceptions are ruling society, positive and negative. Positive and negative. Nope, that's negative. I want something positive. And this whole positive thing is nothing but a point of view. So that's negative. So nothing is getting any better. Because when somebody perceives something as negative, instead of them moving forward to try to understand exactly why it is such, they condemn it instead of trying to resolve it. And the reason why they condemn it instead of trying to resolve it is because they claim to be so positive, and all they want is positive vibes. Positive vibes only. So this is the reason why this mindset that is ruling the world this day, which is the new wave, a way of thinking, that's one of the reasons why it's so dangerous. The world is going into darkness. And humanity has become too inhumane to try to do something about it. And unless this state of mind is negated and forgotten, things are not going to get better. And that was my point.